Chapter 24, Aftermath. After Leonard's cowardly escape, Zeus rushed back to the train, his every step driven by a sense of urgency. He saw Gina and Paul helping the last passengers off the stopped trains in the distance. They moved quickly and purposefully. He felt a mix of relief and frustration. He was glad the civilians were safe, but he was also angry that Leonard Payne had gotten away. Zeus walked up to the train, weaving through the crowd of confused survivors. Their faces showed a range of emotions, from shock to quiet thankfulness. People's faces were streaked with tears, their hands were shaking, and quiet whispers filled the air like the aftermath of a storm. "Excuse me? Sorry, but I'm coming through," Zeus called, carefully making his way through the crowd. He moved quickly but carefully, knowing that the trauma was still fresh in their minds. A few passengers turned around, some nodding or whispering words of thanks. Others merely stared, stunned into silence by the ordeal they had endured. Every step Zeus took reminded him of the lives that had been at stake and the danger that was still out there. He finally got to Gina, who was standing next to Paul near the edge of the platform. Their faces were lined with focus and tiredness as they helped a child get out of the carriage. "Captain," Zeus said, breathing hard, "Leonard got away. Should we go after him?" Gina's eyes snapped to his. "No," she said firmly. "We could walk into a trap if we follow him now." Zeus frowned as he tried to accept it. "But how can you be sure, Captain? We can't just let him go away after all this." Gina held his gaze and her jaw tightened. "Let me explain. When I was with Titan Squad, we once chased a battalion that was retreating in Berlin. They seemed weak. We thought we were in charge." Her voice became colder and more distant. "But it was a trap. They took us to a place where we could die. Some of us ran, like Leonard, but others didn't make it. I lived by pretending to be dead under Jamie's body, while the enemy killed anyone who moved. That day taught me something very important. If you corner a hurt animal, it will have a pack waiting for you." There was a heavy silence after that, as the weight of her words sank in. Paul stepped forward, and his forehead was wrinkled with seriousness. "I remember you telling us that story, Captain. I still can't believe you shot the enemy commander from that ruined cathedral. At least you got the squad's justice." Gina's eyes got a little darker. "Not revenge, Paul. Justice," she said calmly. She spoke in a calm voice, but there was steel behind it, a deep well of pain hidden behind her calm face. The difference was important to her. She had killed the man who gave the order, but the act had never taken away the horror or brought back the dead. If anything, it made the scars worse. She had learnt that war didn't often leave room for clear lines between right and wrong. "Justice," Paul softly repeated, looking down. "But you lost so many good people that day. Do you think what you did was a kind of revenge?" Gina shook her head softly, and it was clear that she was torn. "I've had to deal with that choice many times since then. It's easy to let your feelings control what you do, but I've learned that real justice needs discipline and focus. It's not about making the enemy suffer, it's about making sure that people who break the laws of humanity are punished." Gina's words hung in the air around Zeus, and he couldn't stop thinking about the things she had been through and the choices she had made. He couldn't stop thinking about how scary it would be to become like her, full of anger and hardened by loss. Zeus was determined not to let those feelings control what he did, so he decided to change the subject and get the team to focus on something else. He asked, "Where's Barry?" as he looked around for any sign of his fellow soldier. "Brother's still on the train," Paul said, looking back with worry on his face. "Daedalus is connected to the bomb so that he can disarm it." At that moment, the train made a faint sound that sounded like something was being turned off. This was a clear sign of progress. When Zeus realized what the noise meant, he felt a rush of hope. A few moments later, Barry came out through the side doors, his face shining with victory. He yelled, "Good news, Captain," with a sense of urgency in his voice. "Daedalus has turned off the bomb. We should bring it with us so that Sparta can look at its parts and figure out who made it." Gina smiled with relief and said, "Good thinking, Barry. And tell Daedalus that he did a good job too." Her praise was sincere, and it showed how much they depended on team members who were important to their success. Barry nodded and smiled when his captain said it was okay. Gina still had more to say. She stepped forward and looked each team member in the eye as her voice cut through the last bits of tension in the air. "And that goes for all of you. You all did what you were told to do, and did it very well. You showed amazing skill and bravery today. You are truly worthy of being Spartans." The words made the air feel full of pride and friendship. Zeus felt a rush of endorphins and humility at the same time. Being recognized as part of something bigger and more important than himself made their achievement more than just surviving. Paul and Barry looked at each other and smiled with relief, while the other passengers watched, their faces going from scared to thankful. "Thanks, Captain," Paul said, and a smile broke through his serious face. "But we couldn't have done it without your help and direction." Barry spoke up, and his voice had a spark of confidence in it. "Yes, we all knew what we had to do, and we did it. The same way you taught us." With a shy smile, Gina waved off the praise. "It's a team effort, and you all showed how strong we can be when we work together. We weren't just here to fight. We were here to save lives, and we did that." As she talked to her team more, the feeling of acceptance in the air grew stronger. Don't forget that being a Spartan isn't just about how we use weapons or deal with danger. It's about how dedicated we are to each other, to the mission, and to the people we serve. You all faced some really tough odds today, and you all showed what it means to really stand by those values. After Gina praised the team, Zeus turned to look at the passengers he had saved. Their faces lit up with thanks, and within seconds, applause broke out all around him, a wave of relief and thanks that filled the compartment. The heavy weight of fear gave way to celebration, which reminded Zeus how important their actions had been. Zeus looked through the crowd on his heads-up display and looked for one face in particular. His heart raced when the HUD finally showed Connor near the back of the crowd. He was standing tall despite everything, and his eyes shone with admiration and unspoken relief. But Zeus knew he couldn't get close to him like this, not while wearing the Zeus armor. He needed a moment to step back, change back into Nick Adams, and then go back to being Nick Adams. It wasn't just about keeping things secret. It was also about getting to know himself, not just the suit, but the boy inside it. He was about to leave when he heard the rhythmic whir of engines overhead. VTOLs from the police and paramedics hovered into place, making the air around them move. The side doors opened and ropes came down as officers and medics carefully climbed down. Their arrival marked the start of a new phase, moving from survival to recovery. Superintendent Leon Chappelle, a tough veteran with a reputation for being tough and having a strong command presence, was in charge of the response team. As he hit the ground, his loud commands cut through the fog of the crisis. Secure the perimeter. Make medical your top priority. All of the coaches cleaned up and swept. Come on, everyone. He went straight to Captain Rhodes. They respected each other right away because they were both tough professionals with different badges but the same goal. Chappelle gave a sharp salute. Captain Rhodes. Superintendent Chappelle, Gina said, returning the salute. Their handshake was strong, showing that they respected each other because of what they had been through together, not because of a ceremony. Chappelle looked at the passengers and said, "Thank you for what you and your team did today." Then his face hardened and he went back to following the rules. "But I need you and your men to stand down now. From now on, this is a police matter." Gina didn't miss a beat. "Understood," she said in a calm voice. "Still, I must insist that we keep the bomb. We need our analysts to look at it to find out where it came from. We need to act quickly." She pulled out an imperial decree with the Emperor's seal from her tactical pouch. She held it out, and there was no doubt about its power. Chappelle's forehead wrinkled as he looked at the seal. The weight of what it meant was clear right away. He sighed, not because he was giving up, but because he knew that hierarchy and urgency were real. Finally, he said, "This checks out." "Okay, Captain, the bomb belongs to you." "Thank you," Gina said, nodding. She looked at Paul and Barry, who were standing close by and waiting for orders. "Jones Brothers, get the bomb and bring it to the clearing. I'll call Artyom to come extract us." "Yes, ma'am," they all said at the same time before walking away with a sense of purpose. Gina tapped her earpiece to open communications. "Artyom, this is Captain Rhodes. The bomb is secure. We need you to come down here to get it." The answer came right away, and Artyom's thick Slavic accent was calm and steady. "Yes, Captain." "Getting ready to land. ETA 2 minutes." "Copy that, Artyom," Gina said, her voice calm and steady, even though she was still feeling a lot of emotions. She looked at Zeus, already thinking about what they would do next. "Since the police are in charge of things, we're pretty much done here." "So, what do I do now, Captain?" Zeus asked, and the rush of adrenaline began to fade, leaving behind a small amount of doubt. Gina said, in a practical tone, "I think you should try to get back to the crowd that left the station. Blend in, the police will soon start taking everyone from here back to the main entrance. That will be your chance to see your friend again and take him home." "Okay, Captain." Zeus said, "I'll be going now." He turned around and ran towards the tunnels that led back to King's Cross Station. His boots echoed through the hallway, each step heavy with the weight of victory and the need to reconnect. As he ran, people he had helped save yelled and clapped for him. Someone yelled, "Thanks." Another person yelled, "You saved us." He could hear their thanks in his ears, which made him feel both humble and strong. As Zeus went into the dark tunnel, Superintendent Chappelle came up to Gina with a thoughtful look on his face and a hint of curiosity. "That's him," he said, still looking at where Zeus had gone. The one that everyone in London has been talking about. Gina said, "He's my apprentice," and her voice was strong with pride. "He's still a little rough around the edges, but I'm going to train him in discipline, control, and focus. He will eventually become a Spartan." Chappelle nodded slowly and crossed his arms. "Make sure you do that, Captain." McGee was in my ear all day yesterday, complaining about how Zeus didn't respect him at the station. Wouldn't stop talking about it. Gina laughed quietly at that, which eased the tension that was still in the air. "I never thought the chief inspector had such a weak ego," she said with a wry smile. "I'll still make sure Zeus knows how to treat the police with respect."